Marcus Aurelius wrote that almost 2,000 years ago. And yet, if you sent that line to someone you know right now, they would read it and go quiet. We've been told since childhood that leaving is weakness, that staying, no matter what, is what strong people do. But the mind doesn't work that way. The mind has limits. And when those limits are ignored long enough, something breaks. Psychologists have a term for it: cognitive overload. It happens when a mind is forced to process more emotionally, socially, cognitively than it was designed to handle. And here's what's interesting. The mind doesn't simply crash. It adapts, but in ways that slowly destroy it. Milton understood something that modern neuroscience would later confirm. The environment you remain in becomes the architecture of your thoughts. If you stay in a place, a relationship, a job, a dynamic that constantly triggers your threat response, your brain begins to rewire around that threat, not temporarily, structurally. This is not metaphor. When the amygdala, the brain's alarm system, fires repeatedly in the same context, it strengthens the neural pathways associated with that context. Your mind starts to expect danger even when danger isn't present. The situation becomes a permanent resident inside your neurology. There's a psychological mechanism called sunk cost bias. It's the reason people stay in situations that are clearly harming them. The mind calculates unconsciously everything already invested: time, emotion, identity, sacrifice. And it concludes, I cannot leave. I've given too much. Leaving would make all of that meaningless. This is the Sisyphus trap, not a myth about punishment. A precise psychological description of what happens when someone confuses persistence with wisdom. The boulder doesn't care how long you've been pushing it. The slope doesn't reward your suffering. Only you and the decision you keep postponing. And society reinforces this. We celebrate the ones who stayed. We write stories about those who endured. We rarely write stories about those who left before the story became a tragedy. Because those people don't make dramatic narratives. They just quietly survive. The brain is not designed for loyalty to circumstances. It's designed for survival. And survival, at the level of your nervous system, sometimes looks exactly like walking away. In 1967, psychologist Martin Seligman conducted a now famous experiment. Dogs were placed in a situation where they received electric shocks they could not escape. After a while, the shocks became escapable. The cage opened, but the dogs didn't move. They simply laid down and accepted the pain. They had learned, neurologically, that escape was not possible, even when it was. Seligman called this learned helplessness. And it doesn't only happen to dogs in laboratories. It happens to people in relationships, in workplaces, in families, in their own internal narratives. The mind, after enough failed attempts to change the situation, stops trying, not because the person is weak, but because the brain has updated its model reality. This cannot change. Stop trying. Asterisk. What the research reveals, and what most people are never told, is that the recovery from learned helplessness often begins with a single act: physical removal from the environment that created it. Not therapy first, not understanding first. Removal first. The nervous system cannot heal inside the wound that created the damage. This is why walking away is not a metaphor. It is, in many cases, a neurological necessity. The brain cannot relearn safety while still inside the threat. It needs distance, physical, emotional, relational distance, to begin slowly to recalibrate. History is full of minds that survived by leaving, not running away from life, but removing themselves deliberately from the systems that were consuming them. Descartes retreated into isolation to develop the foundations of modern philosophy. Newton left Cambridge during the plague and, in that solitary period, formulated the laws of gravity and calculus. Darwin spent years away from the intellectual debates of London before he had the clarity to write on the origin of species. These were not men who ran away from difficulty. They were men who understood intuitively, if not scientifically, that certain kinds of thinking are only possible in certain kinds of space. The Taoists had a concept for this: Wu Wei non-action, not laziness, not indifference, but the recognition that some problems dissolve when you stop applying force to them, that the mind, like water, finds its level when you stop disturbing it. And this is a paradox that most people never reach. The act of walking away is often the highest form of self-mastery, not impulsive, not reactive, but deliberate, a conscious decision to protect the mind from the environments that are slowly erasing it. There is a cost to staying that most people never calculate, not because they're unaware, but because the cost is paid in a currency that doesn't show up on any visible ledger. It's paid in attention, in cognitive capacity, in the slow narrowing of who you're able to become. Viktor Frankl survived the concentration camps. He watched people die, not only from physical conditions, but from the moment they lost a sense that any choice remained available to them. And he observed something extraordinary. The people who maintained some internal freedom, even in the most extreme conditions, maintained something the others lost: a sense of self, not optimism, not happiness, just self. The mind can endure almost anything if it believes the situation is temporary. But when the mind concludes, consciously or not, that this is permanent, that this is life now, that escape is not a real option, it begins a different kind of process, not adaptation, erosion. And erosion is subtle. It doesn't announce itself. You don't wake up one morning feeling eroded. You wake up feeling slightly less interested in things, slightly less capable of joy, slightly more certain that this is simply who you are now, that you've changed, that you're older, that this is just reality. But it isn't reality. It's what happens to the mind when it gives up the belief that walking away is still possible. Jung understood that the mind doesn't become free by avoiding difficulty. But he also understood something darker, that there's a difference between the fire that forges you and the fire that simply burns you down. Wisdom is knowing which one you're standing in. Walking away is not the end of the story. It is, for the mind, often the beginning of one. The research is clear. The history is clear. The neuroscience is clear. Some environments cannot be survived. They can only be left. And the mind that leaves, deliberately, consciously, does not become weaker. It becomes, for the first time in a long time, available. Available to think. Available to feel. Available becomes something that the previous environment made structurally impossible. The mind that walks away is not lost. It is finally looking for the right direction. Inner observer. Observe your mind. Understand reality.